Hello, I'm Mr. Orange and this is video hashtag 710. So in this video is another Winx Club discussion video. I know I did one yesterday making a video on the Wizards, but I still have thoughts to make in this video. I think when it came to the 13th episode of season 4, it really put me thinking about making other videos, especially relating to that episode and the season as a whole. And it made me reflect on other aspects of the show, not just like for season 4, but like the rest of the Winx Club franchise. So in this video, I want to talk about something very significant about Winx Club, and that's the specialists. In Winx Club, the specialists play a major role in the show. Usually they're not supposed to. The main story should have been about the Winx girls and the fairies, who are the main driver of the show. And somehow the specialists or the boyfriends of the Winx girls, they do play a supporting role. However, sometimes they have too much attention on them that are unnecessary. Here's my thing about the specialists. I think they're really cute. I think they're really helpful, but sometimes we just don't need them. I think what it is like the specialists feel redundant, and they're just like the male counterparts of the Winx's relationships. I get it. Like one of the main aspects about Winx Club are the relationships. I just wish the relationships in Winx Club is played into a more meaningful way. And I get it, it would be cool for fairies dating specialists, like dating someone out of your race, but it also would be beneficial if the characters like the specialists were fairies and were alongside the Winx. Either that or the Winx could have been the specialist. I'm not against like different species dating each other, but this is more towards like the fact that the specialists feel redundant with the Winx. And the major storyline should be focused on the main six. Bloom, Stella, Misa, Techna, Flora, and Layla. They should have their main focus. I think when it comes to the specialists, I get it. Like when it comes to any character, it's good to have like characters who have interesting things about them. Like in Avatar: The Last Airbender, we have characters who are the main characters. Like we have Aang, Katara, Zuko, Toph, and Sokka. These characters are interesting, but they're not the only characters who are interesting. We have other characters like Azula, Iroh, many characters in the past who were even the background characters. We learned about Hama, like all of these characters are well written and well adapted. We didn't always need them for like the main story. However, the supporting characters still serve their purpose in helping the main characters, take down the main villain of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So that's, Ozai. But they didn't need to be part of the mission to get there. And I also think like we should omit them. I think like the specialists do serve a role. They help the Winx girls, learn emotional growth within themselves, and that is through like romantic situations. But I feel like the Winx should find other ways for them to like learn how to, grow their emotional side, not just through relationships. Although I do encourage like whatever the path they take. So if their romantic relationship serves their, emotional state, that's a good thing. But, they can also venture other things like family and other various things, which I do think do get explored. But people need to understand It's like you don't have to have a boyfriend or girlfriend to do that for you. And I feel like this is really present in season four. Like, there's so many situations where the girls are always with their boyfriends, especially in the season where they didn't need the boyfriends at all. Like, there's a, I get it. They were sent mission by Paragon to protect the Winx. They don't use magic, so like someone like Ogron and his wizards aren't going to absorb the magic. But still, the Wizards of the Black Circle are still going to be stronger than them because even if the specialists don't affect them, the Wizards can still affect the specialists. They just don't have the upper hand like the Winx do, and they have the limitations because they don't use magic. Here's the thing. I think when it came to the season four, the only reason why, like in a meta level, the specialists were included is for like the romantic aspect to still exist, and this is where we get like endless romantic drama in season four. No matter who starts it, whether it's specialists or the Winx, I would have to say for the most part, it's usually the Winx's fault in season four. Although some aspect would be Riven's fault if we're talking about Misa and Riven. Although I would say Misa isn't innocent in that regard either, like sometimes she will be the problematic one. I think when it comes to like including specialists, they need to serve a purpose. And in season 4, like most of the time, they didn't serve much of a purpose. Whatever they could do, anyone else could have done from the Winx Club side. But I'm not just going to talk about season 4 when it comes to the specialists, but I'm talking about specialists as a whole. They just don't, have the same advantages as the Winx or the fairies do. And I get it, and I think it's important to differentiate between particular species in this Winx Club universe. And I think it's important to talk about like fairies, specialists, and humans. And obviously, we can like easily identify each of them with a specific attribute. So, like obviously, for fairies, they can possess magic out of their own hands. They can cast spells. Obviously, they have wings, so they can fly. But like, they have multiple abilities created from the pure biology. And obviously, in the human side of things, they can't possess any, magic or whatever. So they're basically us. We're the humans who can't cast anything. All the best thing we can do is throw a rock at someone or shoot a gun. For specialists, I think they have a bit of both. Although they don't cast magic out of their pure hands, they do utilize weapons and tools in an advanced way. They're more specialized in the battles and strategies. It's going to be a hard time, differentiating like specialists and humans because there's like not much a huge physical differences between the both. Like I think they should have made something unique that what specialists have on the humans. Obviously, fairies have wings, but what makes a specialist different to a human pretending to be a specialist? Because you kind of have a human who's similar to a specialist, and there's not much difference. And this is my idea. Like I think for specialists, they need to utilize a specific magic. So like they shouldn't be purely magicless. So I think like the best magic that the specialists can utilize is techno magic, and I think this is something that should have been like major difference between these guys. Unfortunately, this show doesn't explain well that in that regard. And they use techno magic to for sci-fi aspects, and I think that's the question here. The specialists in Winx Club serve a sci-fi role. Just remember, like, Winx Club isn't just purely fantasy. It's also sci-fi too, and this is where the specialists come in play. And I also thought about this, like, if they are going to be in any missions with the Winx, obviously they have the disadvantage. They can't do more than just slicing a monster in half. Basically, any human can do that as well. So how can we help the specialists keep up with the Winx? And this is what I've been thinking throughout my season 4 and previous about the specialists. Why not make the weapons elemental themed? I think they made this case in season 6, but I still think it's a major important. And also, this kind of gives, the specialist identity individually. So this gives me fun ideas of like how we can upgrade the specialist weapons, and this is probably my favorite aspect of this video. So basically, I will go through 6 of the specialists: Sky, Brandon, Revan, Timmy, Hillier, and Nabu. I'm not including any specialists that came afterwards because I have not covered past season 5. I'm only covering the season 1 to season 4 specialists. So how can we improve these guys' weapons and utilities? And I think there's unique ways to upgrade them, so they feel more special when using their weapons. In essence, I think for each specialist, they should receive 3 types of weapons. The first weapon has to be a sword-based weapon. This is kind of like a thing for the specialist. You get your own identity with your swords, and I think this is kind of like a gold standard of what the specialist utilizes. Just for the identity, and obviously, sword seems the basic weapon. You can also utilize swords for like slashing and cutting things down. The second weapon has to be, something they use as a projectile, something to launch or throw, or something to, hit a target at a, high range. So basically, any launching-based weapons that would be the second-based weapons. And the third weapon would have to be something unique and special that, kind of like out there. And these are the weapons I kind of noticed like these specialists having in the like first to the fourth episode. So I will be considering those when I'm, assigning weapons to them. And I will assign like elemental powers to these specialists. So let's start off talking about Sky. What element will he have, and what weapons will he have alongside his element? So for Sky, I think his element should be at least water or ice or both. I think he can utilize both of like cold, wet powers. His first weapon has to be like a sort of ice. So obviously, like his, sword will have like ice powers, and he can, stab someone with his like ice shards of swords. And he also could have something like a shield alongside his sword to make a great ice block. Like, could you imagine Sky creating a barrier for like his teammates? He will create like an ice wall with his shield. So that's his first weapon. His second weapon will be a boomerang, inspired by his previous episodes where, Sky has been seen with using a boomerang. So this is going to be a water-based boomerang. Like, could you imagine Sky twirling around and launching like a crescent-based thing, and it shoots out like water? And also following with the water element theme, for his third weapon, it could be like a blue surfboard. For this weapon, I mean, it's more for utility because, he is known to use a leather board in Winx Club. And what if, he uses that to surf through things? So that's my idea for like weapons that Sky would use. For Brandon, I think his power has to be plant-based or wood-based. And starting off with his first weapon, I think it should be like a wooden-based sword. It would be a big, chunky sword, like perfect for stabbing. And for his second weapon, it should be like a wooden dagger. I think that will be useful for puncturing, victims. And for his third weapon, I think it should be like a green stick that, turns into vines, and he can use that to strangle or tangle someone. So, he has a plant-based tangle weapon. Kind of like how Helia or Flora will tangle an opponent. He can have that ability too. For Riven, I think his power needs to be fire-based. So I have ideas for him, or maybe earth-based, who knows. But I think like fire would be the best suit for him. So one idea I've had is for him to use a fire sword, and I think that will be really deadly and scorching. Like, could you imagine while the opponent dies, they are burning to death? And as for his second projectile weapon, he can shoot like fire arrows or something, or like a dart. If you're thinking like the game darts, basically his weapon can be like shooting needles made of fire. And as for his third weapon, he can create like a whole bowling thing, and it would be like a wheel of fire. So can you imagine like him spinning a ball around, and the ball is made of fire? This gave me an idea because one of his weapons is that thing that he spins around. And then we have Timmy. We can talk about the power he can have. So my idea for Timmy is to have like electric or light-based powers. So for his first weapon, he can have a like illuminating lance, like a lightsaber or something that bright, shines really bright when he attacks someone. I think with that, this keeps the opponent visually disoriented before they, have their demise. And for his second weapon, inspired by his, popular weapon, he can use like a gun for electric. So whenever he zaps someone, it shoots out electricity. And for his last weapon, I think he can create any gadgets. So I think this might be useful and suitable for Timmy. And in general, I think Timmy would be the one to like create many useful weapons for different things. And then we have Helia, what weapons he should have. Unfortunately for Helia, he seems to have that one weapon with his strings, but we can upgrade what he has. And also for Helia, I think his power should be wind or air based. So for his first weapon, it should be like a wind based sword. I know this is stereotypical, but for his second weapon, I think there should be like fan blades. And with that, he can create gusts of wind while he's, attacks someone. And while Helia has strings as his main weapon, alongside that, I think Helia should have the power to like, when he, air punches someone, gust of wind comes out of it. And for Nabu, I think obviously his power is the most versatile. So he's gonna have magic as his main source of power. So for his first weapon, I think he should have like a magic-based sword, like a sword that casts magic at the same time. And for his second weapon, I think it should be like a bow and arrow. It's a shame that none of the heroes have a bow and arrow yet. And maybe when he shoots out a bow and arrow, each arrow casts a certain magic to certain people. Maybe it creates illusions. And obviously, for his main third weapon, I think this is kind of obvious. Like his main weapon is a magic staff that he always uses. I think that's his main weapon seems to be in the Winx fandom. So basically, those are my ideas of how the specialists can utilize the weapons and how they can be upgraded. In this way, I feel like this is how the specialists could keep up with the Winx. And honestly, this is the all ideas I have of how like the specialists could be improved. Like if they are going to be included with the ways in the main plot, make them be upgraded. Anyway, those are my ideas for this video. I think you got the gist now. If you think there's any other ways the specialist could be improved in Winx Club, let me know in the comments down below. Until then, it has been really fun to discuss about Winx Club. If you like this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and have a lovely day.